Hey, it's Ultra Life Today. Have you ever wondered when you see these massive people walking around and they've got this 35-gallon jug that they're drinking out of? It may be protein, but we're going to talk today about protein for the rest of us. And we brought in Kyle Drew once again.
Hey, Josh.
And Kyle is going to introduce someone that's been a friend of his for years and years.
Yeah, about 22 years. I do a radio show in Oklahoma City called Super Health. And I met Todd back in 2002. And he started coming on the radio show. We became fast friends. He is a 5-time Mr. Arkansas. I call him Jawbone because when he eats, I see these jaws just clenching. And we asked him to be on the show with us today. Todd, how you doing, brother?
I'm great, my man. I'm doing well. I'm enjoying being with you as always. I love being on your show. You know that in the history that we have together. And Josh, just to clue you in on the overall weight of the jug, we use that as a workout. So that's part of our workout, and that's how we do it. And so anyway, but
it's a kettlebell. What was I thinking?
Well, they should put a handle on those things because they sell them like 20 pounds at a pop, and it really needs a handle on it. You could do a workout with it for sure.
It's the truth,
but it's a good way to put it because as far as protein, and that's the one that I train the average people. I don't train athletes. My phone is going off. Everything's going crazy. People are checking on me here. But as far as protein needs for athletes, you're right. It's radically different. For the average person, it's very calculable. Everybody has an overall set point. It depends on your age, your activity level, and all of that. It can be figured out. But it's been so confused over the years. There's these generals that are set by dietitians and all that with no scientific basis. Well, and it's very calculable. Well, it's not that hard. It's been confusing.
I'm curious about this. Now, there's an old bodybuilding mantra, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. How closely have you followed that when you were competing? And how much do you deviate from that when you're working with the rest of us, with average people?
The 1 gram per pound per body weight is I think the high end level, the apex for athletes. That's generally about right for them. I don't think that is required for the average person because that is, I think, excessive. I think the very bare minimum is 0.5 gram per pound per day of lean body weight. And the maximum is that gram per pound per body weight. And that is strictly based on activity level. I mean, the athlete is going to need a lot more than a sedentary person. But let me tell you, it is as important for the average person to get protein and the adequate amount and assimilatable protein as it is for the athlete, just as important. And we are missing it today.
That's what I want to know. You said assimilatable protein. Can we talk about that a little bit? What are we talking about when we say that?
Well, I get this question all the time in my lectures, and they say, what is the best source of protein? I said, that's for you to answer, not me. Okay. That's you to answer. How does it digest? You should pay attention when you eat protein. How does it digest? How does it make you feel? How fast does it move through? Does it cause indigestion, upset stomach, those type of things? That's a sign you're struggling with that protein. We are each individual. Some people digest certain proteins better than others. And you have to find those and stay with those. As we age, we need to find the proteins that work and the amounts that work and stay with those. Don't listen to anything else. It's more instinctual as we go. Find out what works and the amounts that work and stay there. Stay in your lane. Stay there.
So I have to ask, Todd, with the people that you train that you said are typically not, hardcore athletes, bodybuilders, how many of them are actually getting enough protein every day? I want to know, is this going to shock me to find out that people are really underserved in the protein department?
I hope you're not easily shocked because, yes, it's going to shock you. The great majority of the people, when I have them write down what they eat, and I tell them, don't alter what you eat at first. I just need to know what you've been eating. And I mean, it does no good to lie to me. I need to know a history. So when I put it all together, they're way under on protein, way over on what? Carbohydrates.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then over on fats. And protein, it's not just muscle. People have to understand the immune system is totally reliant on protein. You have to have it for that. It serves so many purposes, nerves, nerve function, repair, all of these things. So an adequate amount of protein. Now, again, we talk about assimilatable protein. There are certain proteins that do not agree with people. There are certain carbs that don't, certain fats that don't. So I'm the biggest problem that I have is when I hear these people talk about generalities, putting people in a box saying that it's this for everyone. No, it's not. That is up for you to find out on all these, not just protein, but the types of carbs, the types of fats that work for you, and stay there, because that's your body telling you, I like these, I don't like these.
You know, I love what you're saying, Todd. And we talked about assimilatable. This is going to be sort of a ridiculous question, but one that has to be asked. Which foods are protein foods? And the reason that I ask, and I know that you've been through this yourself, I will talk with people who I say, are you getting enough protein? And they go, oh my gosh, yes, I get protein all the time. Really? How are you getting it? Well, I slathered peanut butter on my toast this morning, and boy, that's loaded with protein. No, it's not. And so talk about this a little bit. What are you directing people towards who are willing to eat things like meat and dairy? And then how is it affected with vegans, for example?
Well, and vegans confuse this thing with you put beans and corn together, you get a complete protein. Okay. You get a complete protein profile. You get a perfect amino acid blend, but you don't get near enough from those sources.
Right.
That's the problem. They're carbohydrate sources. They're not protein sources. So peanut butter is a great fat, but certainly not a great source for protein.
Right.
When you look at protein sources, and you lead in your show, a meat eater, and unapologetic. Right. And let me tell you, there is a reason why we are at the top of the food chain, I think, and the reason why we're omnivorous is because we have searched out all of these food sources. And why not? I mean, why wouldn't we? And meat is a part of that. Eggs are a part of that. Dairy is a part of that. And people who are total vegan have a very difficult time getting enough protein because it's hard to come by from just a vegan diet. Now, you add eggs there, you add dairy products there. Yeah, you can get an adequate amount of protein from those sources. So you can be vegetarian and still get plenty of protein by going to animal sources. But animal sources, let's face it, are superior. Eggs are by far the best protein source that we have. It's a single cell that's packed with protein, with a good cholesterol, with good fats. We just have demonized these meat sources for so long, and we shouldn't. It's the amounts that we're eating, Kyle. It's not. I mean, we're just eating too much of it. That's the problem. Too much of the heavy stuff.
Yeah. No. And a question that has to come up. If given the choice, Todd, do you prefer people to get their protein through whole food sources, the eggs, the meat, the yogurt, and so forth? Or is it okay to get a bit of it or a portion of it, or maybe even a large portion, from like a whey protein shake or some other protein shake? What are your thoughts on whole food versus liquid proteins?
The reason that I'll have liquid protein sources around like kefir or yogurt or protein shakes is that when I eat meals, and I eat about every 3.5 to 4 hours, I eat a solid meal, then I'll have a liquid meal behind in another 3 or 4 hours. And what that does is give my intestinal tract a break a little bit because it's so easy to digest that shake. It goes right in, right through, and it doesn't tax the body. Bodybuilders, their biggest problem is they're trying to eat every 3 hours and they're trying to eat solid food. And that's hard to do because you just get barely digested that last meal and then here comes another. So I say these guys are freaks on a lot of levels, and their digestions are freakish too, because I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. I tried to eat 6,000 calories one day to put on more muscle, and I just could not do it, Kyle. The third day, I thought, I have no room left. I don't. And when you're trying to eat 6,000 calories a day with clean food, it's almost impossible. You don't have enough room. So,
well, and for average people, Todd, the way that protein seems to operate in terms of satiety really works in our favor. I think that we'll do another show with you about weight loss in particular, but that satiety factor with protein, particularly whole food sources, we may be able to get away with a lot less food if it is a protein-heavy diet. How am I doing? What do you think on that?
Perfect. And that brings up a great point, because when people get low blood sugar, like this, the commercial, reach for a Snickers bar, that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, you're jacking the blood sugar back up again and spiking it yet again. So my whole thing is that if you eat sugar to alleviate low blood sugar, you're still on that roller coaster ride. You're going to go up and you're going to come right back down. The way the body balances blood sugar is by the hormone glucagon. And it actually releases blood sugar. So what is that? Protein. That's a protein-based enzyme. So when you eat protein, it settles the blood sugar back down. It releases blood sugar back into the system. So really your best source for low energy and low blood sugar is a protein like beef jerky or something, or cottage cheese. That will bring the energy back up more stable than any other sugar source would.
There is a show, a reality show called Naked and Afraid. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they release these people into the jungle. They literally have no clothes, and they're supposed to survive for 20 days or 10 or something. I don't know what it is. But what's interesting is they have very little food out there, and they're having to kill their food or pick the food or whatever. And they might find berries or something, and they'll eat them, and they're thrilled to have them. But when they get a protein source, the way they always report that they feel is palpably different than whenever they're eating the berries and the nuts or whatever. And I find this to be true all the time. People who are under protein aided always tend to feel better when they finally get an adequate amount of protein. And it's always surprising, because they think, well, I thought carbs were what gave me energy. Man, protein feels so good.
I want to tag in on what you just said, Kyle, because Todd, do people actually feel emotionally better when they get their protein levels right? Is that something? Or do people end up that are low protein, or some of these problems of drama and mood swings and things like that, can they be related to protein deprivation?
Almost certainly blood sugar related. And in fact, about 50% of the depression, minor depression cases can be led by blood sugar, because when you're low blood sugar, the brain doesn't work and you just don't feel good. And that's why you reach for sugar, And so, but I'll tell you a story real quick, Josh, and this is something that happened to me. I was total vegan, vegetarian for about 2 years, 2.5 years. And I thought it was best. I had a health food store. That's what I bought into. I thought, okay, vegan lifestyle is the best. I had Tenia versicolor. I had low blood sugar. I had to take a nap at 1 o'clock. I couldn't. So, after I ate pasta for dinner or for lunch, I'd go to sleep. I had major rashes from skin fungus, which is caused by too much blood sugar, too much sugar in the diet. And so I played A-class softball and with these guys, and when we would go eat, they would go to the steakhouse, and I'd get a salad bar. I was vegan vegetarian. So I'd eat a salad, they'd eat a steak. Well, after about 2.5 years, I said, I just blew up. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I've got to have some meat. And we went in after we got beat in the first game, put us in the loser's bracket. We were depressed. I got in line to order the biggest steak they had, medium rare. My coach laughed. He said, he's not going to eat that. And I said, oh, yes, I am. And I did. And I was gnawing the bone like a dog. Anybody that came close to me, I growled at them. I was like, you're not getting that. And I was just craving it. Literally craving. I couldn't believe how the connection was there emotionally and everything. And I was just gnawing and the juice, and I was soaking it up with the potato. And my coach was going, wow, don't get your hands and feet anywhere close to him right now. And I went back and I went 5 for 5, hit 4 home runs and a triple, almost hit 5 home runs, and was just, and was on fire. And I could not believe the difference in what it was. And Kyle, to your point, is that when you're missing something and your body is craving and calling for it. People need to listen to these things. Pregnant women eating dirt. You've heard that before. Yeah. It's mineral related. Yeah. Their body calls out for what it needs. Yep. And protein sources, a lot of the times it does, if we'll listen. And the difference that it makes, because again, we run on 3 things: fat, sugar, basically carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Those are the 3 fuel sources. And right now in America, the one we're missing is protein, pure and simple. We're not getting enough adequate protein, plenty of fats and sugar, not enough protein.
Man, Todd, I love that Josh asked you to be on the show today. We've been friends for an awfully long time. I know that you're always good for these kinds of discussions. I think that Josh is going to have you back on some more shows. But what a great conversation, and one that I think people will go back to again and again. You're the best, man. You know how to do this, brother. Thank you for doing this.
Well, I love being here. You know, you can call me anytime, guys. Anytime.
Awesome. Well, you've been listening to Todd Scarborough. You've been listening to my friend Kyle Drew. This is Ultra Life Today, and we are going to dig into some other subjects, aren't we?
Coming up.
All right.
Thanks.